All right, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't been around in a while, but it's Cleveland Browns Methadone. Eugene McCormick here with the beloved Danny Feedback. Danny, we're recapping the year today. It was an interesting year. They went 7-9. They exceeded expectations, but the letdown at the end of the season, I don't think people can get over that anytime soon. What's your thoughts?
No, I think you summed it up pretty good. It's when you end the season like we did with the December and even the last part of November. Seemed like after that November 6th game, after that Thursday against the Bengals, it's too bad the season didn't end there because everything was right in the Cleveland Browns world. But as you know, the following, I think we were 7-4. Were we 7-4
We were
then?
7-4, yep.
Yeah, 7-4 then. So yeah, so it was those last five really ending it like that and making us look, some teams end it trending up, we're trending down at the end of the season. So
And the biggest concerns obviously lie in that our number one player on the team, Josh Gordon, he can't get his head together. He does not seem like a professional football player, to say the least. And the first round draft picks of the Browns both fell on their faces and ended up suspended. That almost seems like a college thing.
yeah, that's pretty bad. We pretty much got we have to redshirt all those guys, right? Is
Well,
that
that's the one
possible?
good thing that comes out of it. We kind of redshirted Josh Gordon because he couldn't even pick up, six paychecks this year
Unbelievable.
after getting chance after chance. It's just absurd. And Manziel, I think it's pretty apparent that he did not look at that playbook at all. Because Connor Shaw, you know what I mean? Like, my buddy, because I was text messaging you during the game too, and obviously I'm being funny. Connor football, and like, Connor, Shaw is probably Charlie Fry. You know what I mean? Maybe Brady Quinn type. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, good on the Browns for getting an undrafted quarterback that, you know what I mean? He'll be in the league for a few years. He seemed competent.
Oh
But when
yeah.
you completely outplay, you know what I mean, a fellow rookie, that just shows you how brutally bad Manziel actually was.
Yeah, that was tough to watch, man. That was real tough to watch because I liked watching Manziel at college. Very exciting, and I wasn't sure if he was gonna win or lose games, but I thought he would at least translate the excitement. But there was no excitement in that in any of those 5 quarters we saw him play, or six
Do
quarters.
you think that he faked injury? Like, let's be frank.
That's why I went crazy. Yeah, I went nuts. I went nuts because I actually didn't even care if he sucked. But once you see someone, I would never. And I was yelling it. I was like, you would have to literally drag me off the field before I'm leaving the field. Before I leave the stage, whatever. You're serious.
After he,
There's
after he
no.
embarrassed himself, too.
I'm gonna try and convince you. Like there's no way. Yeah, he just like
He
gave
took his
up.
ball and went home. Like, that was
That was
basically
it.
the.
Yeah, and once you do that, then you don't have no heart, and there's something not wrong in your head. So and then after it's all said and done, he says all that stuff like, "Oh, I didn't take it seriously." It's like, really, it took you a whole season to figure out that the NFL is the NFL. Like,
And
didn't
then
you see
2
that in
days
pre?
later, he holds a party that gets 2 first-round draft picks suspended.
That's
Well,
whole.
1 first-round draft pick, and, well, actually, no, 2 first-round draft picks and Josh Gordon. You know what I mean? That's just unbelievable. Like, what an ending. But, give them credit today. They played with heart. You know what I mean? They were right in that game, and, as luck would have it, they lost again, but I think that shows you that they were playing for Pettin, which is good.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would imagine that those guys like Patton. You know what I mean? He had some questionable game management and clock management skills that didn't really work out for a couple games. But the way I really like the way Shanahan worked with the offensive team. He had them ranked right in the middle of the pack, passing and running, and you know, as far as skill position, I mean, I know we got a real good offensive line, but as far as the skill position players, you know, Shanahan was dealing with, you know, average at best. Um, so I thought he did pretty good. The defense started off a little slow at the beginning of the season, and obviously they just never learned how to stop the run. But they hit stride. I mean, they got a lot of there's a lot of talent on that defense. I still don't understand how they can't stop the run, but
Yeah, that's troubling, but that secondary is looking pretty good. I mean, that's where their strength is at. And even in the linebacker core, I mean, like, they held their own. The defensive line, I mean, when the big guy went down, what is that, Bryant? Is that his name? The guy they got from the Raiders?
oh yeah, Desmond Bryant, yeah.
You know, that was a loss. And that was like almost losing Alex Mack, and I think, like, a lot of people didn't really, you know, give that enough attention. Because he
Yeah.
was playing hurt. You know what I mean? Even when he was in there, he was playing hurt. And, like, that guy's a beast. I mean, that guy is really good.
Yeah.
They're looking pretty. I mean, like, I actually think they actually have a pretty good nucleus going forward. But the biggest question, obviously, is who's going to be under center next year, because that question's completely up in the air. And I mean, we're here every year. If it were me, and like I told you this off air, I mean, like, I don't see why they don't just, you know, give Hoyer some money and, like, just try to figure something out. I mean, like, he can win you 8 games. I mean, like, that's where we need to get. We need to 7, 8, and then, like, hopefully we get somebody in there that, you know, can really play, and then 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's probably not going to happen the way we treated him. I'm not quite sure if he wants to come back unless he's not offered a fighting chance for a starting job, which there's probably 3 or 4 teams out there that, you know, don't know who their quarterback's going to be next year and would be interested in bringing him in for something like that. I'm not sure if he wants to stick around and go through the Manziel circus. So
Is Manziel going to be here next year, though? I mean, really? I mean, that, I think, actually, that is a viable question right now.
yeah, it is. Damn, I don't know. I
I mean,
don't
that was
know.
a bad way to end the season. I mean, like, you're holding the party. You don't
Yeah,
show up for treatment. I think he might be gone. I mean, like, he didn't prove anything on the field. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
if they want to and they don't think he can progress, he might not be able to progress. I mean, what he showed out there was, I mean, that was an embarrassment to the pro football.
Yeah, that was bad news. Bad news. But it happened. So,
Only in Cleveland it could happen, though.
yeah, that's true. So it's a little bit of a bummer because the 2 quarterbacks picked after him, Bridgewater and Carr, actually ended up with the 2 best rookie quarterback classes, and they're not exactly on teams with a bunch of offensive weaponry around them. You know, Bridgewater got stripped of Peterson, and you know, there's not much on the Raiders, obviously. So for those 2 guys, for Carr and Bridgewater to do well, that was pretty amazing, and seems like we might have passed up on one of those. You know, could have probably worked out for us.
Okay, let's go back in time, and, you know, let's go back to, you know, the draft time. They knew that Gordon was going to be suspended,
They
and
did,
they didn't draft a wide receiver.
and
I
there's
mean,
a bunch of receivers that blew up.
like, if you give Hoyer one more weapon, that's a 9-win team probably. You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference between at least 1 win and 1 loss. But, like, they went into the season without Josh Gordon. I mean, like, and they played well without him. What they did this year was actually kind of miraculous. I mean, like, but they also had a soft schedule, and that's a whole.
They did. They did. Yeah, they actually did. They played the worst division in the NFC, and AFC South is probably the worst in the AFC. Yeah.
So I guess but we have some positives coming through. I think that young backfield, that's going to be a thing to build off of. They disappeared at times, but I think they'll be better next year.
Yeah, yeah. The ball handling is the big thing. I don't think either one of them is a receiver type. Neither. We might have to get a guy that's more of a receiver type. But yeah, as long as they can learn to just hold on to the damn ball, West and Crowell, both those guys had troubles fumbling.
Yeah, and that's a problem. You can't
That
do
is,
that
yeah.
in the league. So the AFC North just ended up. The game just ended probably just moments ago. And Pittsburgh. This is amazing to me. I mean, like I can usually forecast something, and like I thought Pittsburgh was dead in the water. It was a Sunday night game. Do you remember this? And we had just beaten them, and then they're getting the shit kicked out of them. Like I said, oh, that's the end. And they ended up coming back and winning that game, and like they've been unstoppable since. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, they're on a tear offensively. Actually, all those teams. If you look at the Browns and measure them up against the other teams, it used to be that you know, it was a very defensive division in the AFC North. It almost seems like it's trending the opposite way. It's like the Bengals and the Steelers. They got a lot of offensive weapons. Even
I
the
honestly
Ravens
don't know how
did
the
good.
Ravens keep on doing it. Do you understand the Ravens? Like, how did they keep on winning? Is Flacco just like, is that the difference there? Because they're not that daunting to me. I mean, it just seems like a team that just manages to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, they're just a well-rounded team. That's all there is. They got the Smiths at receiver, one real old, the other one obviously young, but you got a burner, and then you got a tough veteran over there that catches the passes. And that Forsett, I think he was averaging like 5 point something yards. He's actually like doing really good, and he can catch too. So, yeah, they seem like they're. That's going to be a battle next week. That can go either way. When they go into Pittsburgh, that's going to be one hell of a game.
That's the Browns versus Steelers. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so. Oh God! Why do the football gods torture us so? You know what I mean? Like.
That 50-year curse is possibly going to go to 100.
But, looking at it, in all honesty, though, the major problem I see, I mean, and this is a hard one to get around because I think the coaching staff was pretty sure that Manziel couldn't play. That did not come from the general manager or the coaching staff. They're getting reports like, he's probably hung over half the time. You know what I mean? Like, let's really... You know what I mean? They're not going to say that like on the Plain Dealer broadcast, but come on now. You know what I mean? Like the guy didn't do anything. You could tell. He was partying every night probably, spending his money. But that they played him, where did that come from? I mean, you want to derail the whole season? Does Haslam think that this guy is Jesus where he can just step on the field and they start singing songs and they just start scoring touchdowns? It doesn't work that way in the NFL.
Yeah, you're right, man. I'll tell you, you're right. I mean, even if he thought he was God beforehand, Haslam, I think after seeing him play, that would be about it. I mean, I know that's ridiculous saying only 6 quarters of football, but I mean. I don't know. Taking away that little thing he did against the Bills.
But that was in prevent defense.
Nothing.
I mean, that is what a running quarterback thrives on.
Yeah.
And me and you could complete passes in the prevent defense. They're going to give you anything in the middle. You know what I mean? Come on. But I mean, it was impressive. But I mean, it's just it's like the preseason almost. It's like less than the preseason. Oh, God. Yeah. Where do we go from here?
Well, hey, you know what? They got a lot of money they can spend. Hopefully they attack at least one high-dollar free agent at a position of need.
But that's the problem, because they've had the money. Are you trying to win? if you're not really trying to, if you're trying to win, aren't you right at the cap? I mean, like, why aren't you? You know what I mean? Like, because they've got a nucleus. I mean, Alex Mack went down, and that was brutal. But when you have three really solid offensive linemen, which this team has right now, you know, the middles, the defense, the whole defense is stacked. You know, they're close, but, like, why aren't they? And I said it last year on a broadcast, and you probably remember it. I said, Phil Dawson is the difference between a playoff team and a team that, you know, goes like 7-9 or 8-8. Yeah. And sure enough, if Phil Dawson was on this team this year, again, that might be 9-7 because those field goals like they kept on doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We used to have the great special teams about 3 years back, you know, 3-7, that whole range. We had a hell of a return man and a hell of a kicker, and now, you know, we got a little bit of return skills, but we don't have no kicker, obviously. Picking up Hartley, I mean.
So let's look at the entire NFL now. We're going to the playoff time. Who do you like? Who do you got in the NFC and the AFC?
Well, with the AFC, I guess it's hard to go against home field advantage. So, you know, I like to root for underdogs, but it's going to be hard to go into New England this time of year and win. And in the NFC, it's probably the opposite. It's probably the thing with going into Green Bay or going into Seattle. That's two tough places to win. But there's a couple teams in the NFC that are interesting. Dallas, they're real good on the road, and they won in Seattle.
You think Romo chokes though? I mean, like.
No, I'm a pro Romo guy. I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah, Romo to me. I mean, like, this is brutal. You know what I mean? I'm a brutal. You know what I mean? This is probably unfair, but when he dropped that snap, you know, remember that.
Yeah.
That was his rookie season, I think. You know what I mean? And he was, you know, I'm like that. He's even holding the snap was crazy to begin with because he was their starting quarterback.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But when you do that, like, I question whether you're going to be making that throw with 2 minutes to go. You know what I mean? You have to do it, and, like, believe me, catching a snap is a lot harder than, you know, dodging 300-pound men that are trying to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, I got faith in them, though. And especially the way they got their team set up now. They rely on the running back, so they're not wanting Romo to chuck the ball 40 times or 50 times or whatever.
Yeah, that Murray is something else.
Yeah. But, yeah, those besides that, I don't know if those other teams can really win on the road. And in the AFC, actually, the Ravens and the Steelers, there's something about teams that have been there before. I wouldn't be surprised if they go into Denver or go in New England and pull one, you know.
From what I read, Bell got hurt today, right?
Yeah, they said hyperextended knee, so they don't think anything's torn. But yeah,
so they'll just shoot him up and he'll be able to go.
Yeah, I would think he'd be ready to go. Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, like, I was rooting for the Bengals because they're an Ohio team. I don't have this hatred of Pittsburgh like, you know, most Browns fans are bred with. Like, I respect them. You know what I mean? Like, they're a division rival. I mean, you don't like any division rival. It's just.
Yeah.
But I was rooting for Cincinnati. And what a weird season. I mean, you know, they just knocked off Peyton Manning. You know, they get another chance at Peyton Manning. I don't think Peyton Manning can beat that team.
Not possible. It might change, though, if it's in Denver. You know what I mean?
But in the cold, he's, you know, he's a choke artist, too.
Yeah. That's true. I don't know. He likes that glove nowadays. I don't think
he's going to do it either. So who does that leave? I don't think any of the AFC North teams are. Is that who's the last one?
No, the Colts, but their defense is just horrible.
It's weak. That's a weak AFC. I think the NFC wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would think so. If Packers or Seattle get in there, I don't know how you're going to beat. I mean, the Packers have iffy defense as well.
I mean,
Um,
the wild card is Tom Brady because Tom Brady he's as good as I think he's advertised. But I think New England's reign is over, but he could will him to a victory maybe if he stays
oh yeah,
healthy.
oh yeah, yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go with New England. You predicted New England, and have you gone with the NFC? You said Green Bay or
Yeah, I gotta go with Seattle. I guess I can't see anyone going into Seattle and beating them really. Yeah. And that's another thing that probably hurt us with the Johnny Football thing is that since Russell Wilson blew up, you know, a lot of people were equating Manziel to Russell, and I think that took Manziel's stock up as well. And obviously we bid on it, but
well, you see, okay, this was what I was gonna say before though. Like Manziel was actually a very safe draft pick. Like, yeah, you burn talent with that pick, but they made money. They sold a ton of seats
they
and they
did. Yeah,
sold a ton of jerseys. He
yeah,
made money for that organization, and sad but true. But that's how the NFL works.
that's true. They drafted a rock star. I don't know. They didn't really draft a football player. They drafted a rock star.
Somebody put on there was the article on Manziel on NFL.com when the story broke, and the comment it was priceless. Johnny Manziel is the Justin Bieber of football. It's
Oh
kind of
man.
true. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. That's bad news, man. Bad news. And he talks a good game again, but now I don't really believe anything he says. So I
no,
don't really
he
think he's
does
going to
it.
straighten himself out. He just knows what he's supposed to say. He's not a dumbass, you know
Like
what I
a
mean?
car salesman. You know what? Well, like that's why Haslam probably loves him because Haslam's the same way. You got any rebate checks? Oh, the
Oh.
check's in the mail. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
they're these southern slicksters.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Haslam's probably patting him out. Haslam was probably at the party. He was probably partying up with Josh Gordon.
He funded it with his rebate savings. Yeah.
But the writing was on the wall with that fight that Manziel got into, even before when he was. You don't party on Friday night in the NFL, like. So, this what. That was not the coaching staff and the general manager that had him start. I guarantee it. That was straight from the top. And
Think
boy,
so.
did that blow up in his face.
Yeah. Yeah. And now they're going to have a whole bunch of issues going in because, yeah, I'm not quite sure if even Hoyer wants anything to do with us. And then if you part ways with Manziel, you're pretty much starting. Usually we have at least one carryover QB.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there, though. Do you think the Browns actually approach Hoyer to stick around? Like, are the Browns even going to make that? Because if they do, and I'm Brian Hoyer's agent, what I say is that, really, I mean, his upside, he's an 8-win quarterback. You know what I mean? He's as average as can be. He'll win you 8 games, and he'll lose you 8 games every year.
Yeah, he's
Maybe
a game
9 and 7, maybe 7 and 9. He's a professional, but he's just not at that talent level to give you 10 or 11. But if he sticks in Cleveland, he has marketability for ages because he's a hometown guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think so. Like if they do look at dollars and cents, and I'm not even just saying money up front, but years, 10, 15 years down the future, you know what I mean? Like he'll never be to the level of Bernie Kosar, but like he could be a name that And really, there's not too many in Brown's lore that actually can, because usually it blows up so bad. Like Derek Anderson does after. But really, are we going to be happy with any quarterback in this city? Is that like part of the problem too? Is that we, just run these people out of town even before?
Well, the media, yeah, we don't give them time. I mean, none of the media and fans, the way it is nowadays, we give them less and less time to prove themselves. But You sort of know. I mean, you can sort of tell. You know what I mean? I mean, there's regression and stuff like that. Like, Dalton's on having a regression year, but his first 3 years, he slowly got better. And, a guy like Tannehill, I mean, he's slowly gotten better over, the 3 years. But you got to give him the 3 years and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's going to be tough because there's the free agents out there. It's going to be crap. Guys like Matt Castle or that's as good as it's
going to be a free agent. Is Sanchez going to be a free agent, Mike?
I'm not sure if he's 1 year or 2 year.
But that would be the type of player that you know what I mean. Like that's like an upgrade of Hoyer. You know what I mean? Somebody that's been in the league. I'm not saying but. He's been to the AFC Championship game. You know what I mean? Like, that's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
And it could either blow up. That would be high risk, high reward type thing.
Yeah.
And I think, the way that this Shanahan runs an offense, he's kind of mobile. You know what I mean? I think it could work. I mean, and Hoyer versus him. You know what I mean? In training camp. You know what I mean? Like, who can be the starter?
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see, but, who knows what we're going to see. It'll be interesting. I mean, Manziel's probably gone. I think Gordon's going to be gone. I think he's going to be traded. I said a third-round draft pick. Do you think they could get it?
Yeah, he has the talent level to well, yeah, I don't think someone like Belichick would never pass that.
Imagine him on New England.
It would be someone who has a winning culture, Seattle, someone who's like they think they can deal with the troublemaker. Actually, well, they already had it happen with Harvin, and that blew up in their face. But there's out there that'll try it. But we got him for a second rounder, so yeah, a third rounder is probably as good as we can do because he caused a lot of trouble.
The whole team might be smoking pot by the time he gets out of there. Tom Brady's going to be going Rastafarian. That's how crazy Gordon is. Well, my battery's about to die, but it was all it's always a good talk, and as things start breaking on, like with this news. I mean, I think maybe next week. Do you want to do another? Maybe we'll recap the playoffs and any Browns talk that comes out. We'll recap that.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be some interesting stuff. There's going to be some cuts, like you say. Obviously, they can't do any trading for a while, but I don't think we're firing our coach this year. But who knows? I didn't think we were firing our coach last year, and we did. So I have no idea.
It's hard to do.
You wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they fire Pettin and try getting Harbaugh again. You know what I mean? The way we do shit, who knows what Haslam's trying to do? And Haslam's in control of all that shit.
Ugh.
I mean, we were gonna give draft picks for the guy last year. You know what I mean? Or yeah, I wouldn't be surprised on anything crazy, man. Haslam's gonna run some shit like who do you call it? The Jerry Jones or Snyder. He's
Jerry Jones knows. Snyder's awful. Don't even bring that up. I mean,
he god awful. He is the worst. Yeah. Hey, we're lucky we didn't get that RG3 and mortgage 3 years draft pick.
You know what? If we could get him for Josh Gordon, I'd make that trade.
RG3, yeah, maybe. Although I don't think he wants to deal with Kyle anymore.
Good point.
I think those days are gone.
I forget. Yeah, that wouldn't work so well.
That's not going to work out.
All right. Good night, Mike.
All right, buddy. I'll see you soon.
I'll talk to you.